Hello? There it is. What's up, everybody? That was weird. My microphone did not want to turn on. How's it going, everybody? Welcome in, everyone. It is... it wasn't muted. It was just not... I don't know. It was OBS fucking up. Let me know if my audio sounds okay, by the way. I had a really bad problem with my normal recording software last night when I was recording Best Star Music 40K. And I had to record on a different program. And I don't know if it's like a hardware or software issue. So if the audio is all fucked up, let me know and I'll see if I can see what I can do. I might have to go to my shitty headset microphone instead. If it's bad, but it was really crackly and stuff. If it's I don't know, if it sounds good, then we're good. So that's what's up. Welcome in, everyone. It's Monday. We're indulging in a little bit of mayhem today. And we had a really interesting event to discuss. Currently good. All right. Thank you, Chad. I reorganized a bunch of my utilities today. So it might have been some static in the system or something. I don't know. That I've grounded out maybe after unplugging and replugging and everything. But we're talking about a big event, almost over 300 players. But the big thing is that it was comprised of essentially like 11 unique rounds of 40K, because we're discussing right now the Coventry GT, which has an extremely unique setup. Basically, it is broken into two separate tournaments. There is the Coventry 3-day, which plays 8 total rounds. I think I said it was 6 the other day, but that was a mistake. I believe it's 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 8 total rounds. You got down to 1 undefeated. Jack Tide, I talked about his list in the Monday video. I did make a little bit of a mistake in that video. I talked about utilizing Astrid and a
bucket of steel cable donated $6.99 through Super Chat. Hey Trevi, how much do I have to Super Chat to get you to briefly cover an RTT I participated in?
Bucket of steel cable. I'll do a list review if that's what you want. Thank you for the Super Chat, by the way. But I'll take a look over the list, the winning list in the event for sure. Just give me the link and let me know what it looks like. Do both tournaments run at the same time? They do. They do indeed. Although, I believe one thing that does happen, and I'm sure if we go down to the rankings here, we can see, is that a lot of players play day 1, and then I think they can hop into day 2 if they lose. So I think there's a lot of these players who just rock in, lose one game and then hop over to the next event. I don't know 100% if that happens, but I believe that's available to players. They go to play the other event if they lose early, or they just play all 7 games or all 8 games because they're Chads. Look at these guys. He's just Jamie Stoddard over here. Absolutely. All of his losses really high scoring, but absolutely making the best of it with Emperor's Children. Jesus Christ. Hot damn, dude. He's giving his all. But yeah, I want to talk about some of the event, the lists here that we saw at this event. Obviously, it is 2 full tournaments that we get to look through. I talked about all these undefeated lists or most of these undefeated lists. I didn't talk about the Second Tau Empire list in my Best Armies video, but I think it's just more Moncos stuff. So it's not super exciting. We're doing more Moncos. I don't know. But obviously we have a lot of interesting things: Space Trolls, Chaos Space Marines, Black Templars to run through. So that's what we're gonna be doing. That was banned this year. Oh, interesting. That's I guess that probably it stops a lot of players from you saw a lot of really good players play day 1 of the 3-day GT and then be like, tiebreakers aren't good enough. I'm going to the other one. And I think it created a little bit of a Shark Tank in the second event, because obviously this event is worth more rankings points, like ITC ELO. You're going to get higher scores coming from out of this one because of the larger size. But yeah. Can you DM me the link in Discord? Yeah, Discord's fine. That should be fine. I think the links seem, I think, are a little bit messed up in YouTube, so that makes sense. Wondering where Coventry is? Yeah, it's in the UK. Writing on Dunsmore. Have you ever heard a more UK name than that? Hot damn. All right. So let's start talking about a couple of these lists. obviously, we see a little bit of Tyranids action happening in the front and center here. Subterranean Assault did pretty well. Scott Morris. Interestingly, I don't know what the finals matchup was. I guess it must have been Orcs. It was a pair up for the finals game. It looks like. Is this right? No, just kidding. I don't know what the finals matchup was. That's so interesting. Because I don't see anyone else here who has the requisite number. Is it Simon over here? Nope. Huh. Wait a minute. How did that work? Kevin Weaver. Oh, geez. Oh, it was a pair up. Okay. Kevin Weaver over here gets paired to the finals, gets knocked to 22nd place. No justice. He did submarine. So he lost round 1 and round 7. Honestly, to go 6-2, that's probably the trajectory you want. You get a hard matchup early, you go down to it, and submarine all the easy games until you get to the finals. And then you get beaten by the person who wins the whole event. And you're like, oh, I lost in the finals. It's fine. Fair enough, man. Kevin Weaver, poor guy. Plays in the finals, got 22nd place. Jesus Christ. But I guess it was a pair up because there was only one undefeated going into round 8, which is interesting. So that's cool. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk about Subterranean Assault for a second here. Scott Morris took 2nd place on tiebreakers, high-scoring games on all of his games, running Hyper-Adapted Raviter, Neuro Tyrant, the Swarmy Boy, the one Swarmy Man, plus a Trigon with Trigon Prime for the extra strength. Double Gargoyles. We talked about these guys a lot. They're very good coming out of holes. It's a little bit funny for you to be able to fly out of a hole and then run in, but the big benefit is that you can shoot and scoot after 6 steep striking. So as long as your opponent isn't like basically fully blocking off the entire objective, you can almost always deploy and then move on to an objective to take it without having to charge, which is super sick, super cool and fun and cool. We have a Biovore, double Exocrine, Lictor, Neurolictor, double Raptors for building tunnels, 1 Tyrannofax with a big pew pew gun and a zone through unit. Feels a little light on action. I guess it's Exocrines. But we are sort of leaning pretty heavily on the Raveners here. We have hyper-adapted 2 separate Ravener units. So I wonder if we were building a big brick of 10 between the hyper-adapted and the regular Ravener squad, and then using 1 for utility, because you always need 1 early to bounce and build your tunnels. Otherwise, your tunnel network's going to be really bad in the early game there. What kind of Subterranean Assault list should you be playing for singles right now? Well, I mean, this is a pretty good example. I loved that Subterranean Assault list with double Hive Tyrants we saw the other day. It was like Haruspex double Zoanthrope double Hive Tyrant. I thought that was sick. I would play the shit out of that. If only because I thought it was cool. Although I don't personally like Zoanthropes. I think they're too swingy. And too expensive. 300 points for a unit that you might just roll a bunch of 2s on and not do anything. Feels bad, but I don't know. I don't know what else you take at Tyranids. It's like the whole faction's, made up of the spit and duct tape, so who knows? That's if I were playing Subterranean Assault right now, I would either be doing that, or I would be doing a Harridan, or I would be doing both. Take 2 Hive Tyrants and a Harridan. Let's go. Because they're cool, but I'm not the person to take tactical advice in Tyranids from because I haven't played them in like 2 years. I did play them a little bit when Subterranean Assault came out, but I bounced off it pretty quick. I went back to Demons. I was like, dude, Demons are better. It's the same list, but you better data sheets somehow. Somehow Demons are much better. Neurotyrants make 0% on 2s. Not if but you don't wound on 2s though. You wound on 3s. So your 2s rolling 1s into 3s, and your opponent saves on 4s. So and then your random damage as well. So you have 6 shots. Let's assume you hit 100% of them. And you get a lethal, right? Because you should get theoretically somewhere around 1. You're winning on 3s with no fixing. So 5 shots winning on 3s. You hand your opponent 4. They should save 2. You hand them 7, 8, 9 damage. You don't even kill a Rhino without committing the Neurotyrant for 305 points. Okay. And probably a command point or something. I guess Enfilading Emergence, you should convert 1 more theoretically through, maybe 2, if you roll enough sustains. But it's so few attacks if you're shooting the anti-tank gun that there's very little consistency you get out of the sustained hits. If you roll a bunch of 6s, it's awesome because they're lethal sustained. If you don't, go fuck yourself, I guess. I don't know. It's just too dicey, in my opinion. Got a cheat GT at the end of the week. Should you play Tyranids that you are very comfortable with or Emperor's Children with you are unfamiliar with? Certainly the faction you're more comfortable with is the one you're going to perform better with. If you're learning a faction day of a GT, your first 2 rounds are probably going to lose. Almost certainly. All right. Let's move down the list. David Gaylord was playing Shadowmark Talon. It was very boring. It makes me sad. But it is what it is. I'm a little bit... It's a little unfortunate that Shadowmark Talon is like so... I don't know. It's just very one-dimensional. It's like... You just do the same thing every time. You play the same army. And you're like, all right, cool. I guess that's fine. But it is what it is. It's extremely strong. We got Ash from the chat. Kiantan here. T5S2, previous T5S2 season champion. Rockin' Hallowed Martyrs. With a trillion characters. Let's go. 23 Arcoflagellants. So it's Demonifuge. So we can do the Rapid Ingress... free HI into Suffering and Sacrifice to eat damage, and then you respawn Ephriel Stern after she dies. So you could absorb, you basically for 2 command points, you can absorb an entire or most of a unit attacking you, swing at them so you get damage in, and then respawn and do it again the next turn. Junith Eruita, so we get command points to actually do that combo. Morvenval, Triumph of St. Catherine. Oh, madame. Okay. Literally every character. Double utility cannon. That's one to an example. Both of them have null rods. The null rod's actually an interesting piece of technology. I don't think people have really picked up on. A lot of times they pick the brazier, the holy brazier, which is a 2 damage 1-shot flamer, which is cool, right? You're like, oh, we have like a interesting. It's an interesting Overwatch threat. We can chip damage and do a lot of stuff, but the null rod gives you a 4+ field up hit against mortal wounds. So oftentimes the canoness runs in the middle. She goes 2+ invulnerable save. Fuck you. And your opponent goes, I'll grenade you, and then she dies. But the null rod's like, no, I will block your grenade. Please stop, she says. I will not be grenaded by you. And then you have to actually kill her with regular attacks, and then she respawns, and then she goes and does her thing again. A Dialogus for auto 6 Miracle Dice. Ministorm Priest, Palatine with 3 Suffering Strength to punch people really good. It's Tenor of Celestian Sacrosancts, a Sanctifier unit. Interesting. We have a Rhino? There is a Rhino. So we can scout the Rhino with the Sanctifiers. There's 1 Immolator. Which I guess is splitting off the Novitiate squad. So we can get a backline unit and then 1 for the Palatine to hang out with, to pal around with. And then we get a Scout Rhino up and then embark a Canoness and then jet her forward on turn 2. Plus a bunch of Arcoflagellants and stuff. Dialogus is more for unbattle shocking. Interesting. I guess like now that you can't really combo her with too much, right? Because they removed a lot of the capacity to like do infinite miracle dice and combos and stuff on lethal hits or whatever. For 40 points, you just get a little character, which is pretty sweet. There's funny shit you could do with her at her unit, so you can emergency disembark and then still strat in the fight phase. Oh, that's sick, actually. Yeah, so like you can disembark, get charged, and then full reroll yourself or whatever because you took casualties. That seems pretty good. Paragon Warsuits for Morvenval plus Khaled Assassin. The Arcoflagellants are really interesting. I think that people a little underestimate them in Hallowed Martyrs in particular because they kill themselves, right? With Extremis Trigger Word. They are basically guaranteed on at least their second round of attacking to get the Hallowed Martyr bonuses active. And then once they've lost like 1 model, their damage output actually dramatically improves. Because they have so many attacks with their weapon skill so mediocre. If you give that unit +1 to hit, right? It's like a massive improvement on output. So they're pretty sweet. Plus rerolls, right? You can give them wound rerolls once they're low, which is actually pretty reasonable too. So yeah, Good stuff. Congratulations, Ash, by the way, for the phenomenal finish here. 7-1 in 4th place out of, what are we, 120 for the 3-day? 200, excuse me. 200 players for the 3-day. Hell yeah. Let's go. We saw a little bit of Eldar. I think it's just normal stuff. Aspect Host. Whatever. I sleep. Put Avatars of Kate in your Eldar lists, chat. I'm just saying. Actually, I played against a Guardian Battle Host yesterday. It was an incredibly close game. Came down to the bottom 5 scoring, and it was super fun. That detachment's legit. But also, I think I don't know. There's some play at other Eldar detachments, but obviously, Aspect Warhost, like triggering off a bunch of 5 model Aspect Warrior squads, is just the best way to play for sure. But we can hop into here to Scott McClutchin, who's rocking some Cadians. A little bit of Astra Militarum combined arms. Cadian Castellan with Death Mask of Elanius. It's probably a filler, I imagine. I think it's but you get bonus OC if you are battle shocked. So you can retain 1 OC characteristic, I believe, is what the Death Mask does. Even if you have failed the battle shock check, although you still lose your orders, I think. I like the idea that this guy carries around like a shrine to Elanius Pius the whole time. Yeah, you become OC1 instead of 0. But I think if we dual attach it to the command squad, I don't think does the command squad have a battle shock clause on its banner? No. So it's actually always OC1 as long as it has the banner in the squad. If we do, so assuming we attach the Castellan with the command squad, which I assume we are, and then it becomes OC2 thanks to the Death Mask. So you lose 1 OC and you can't be duty and honored is the only downside. Or given any other orders, obviously. Catachin command squad, Ogryn bodyguard, double Rogaldorn commanders. Now, there's an interesting thing with this list. I believe this is the one where we're back to the Bullgryn meta, folks. So Bullgryn, it's been like a million years since I think we've seen mass Bullgryn on the table, but they are legit. They're 3 wounds. These guys are running brute shields, which is a 4+ invulnerable save. But the other option is that they get an additional wound, but they don't have the invuln save. Their base save is a 3+, so it's, I don't know. I think the invuln save is certainly better, but it's a bit of a wash. They are -1 to be wounded and have, or excuse me, -1 damage and have a 6 up feel no pain. So they're extremely tanky at T6, running into the center of the table. The big downside is that you can't order them because they don't have regiment keyword. So I think the only thing that orders them is like Leontis used to, and then he's been reworked 6 times, and I can't remember who he orders anymore. Yeah, it's Regiment Squadron or Titanic, so not them anymore. So you can't order them at all. They just vibe. But we're running Castellan, Cadian Command Squad, Catachin Command Squad, Ogryn Bodyguard, which I have to imagine. I think that the old tech was that you put him in with the Catachin Command Squad, I think, right? And he just became a little guy, a fun little guy. Who is kind of difficult to kill. We do have Catachin Jungle Fighter, so we could dual attach those as well. I think the command squad just gives them Scout. Or, excuse me, Assault. They already have Scout. Assault. Does the Ogryn Bodyguard steal Scout from them? I actually am not 100% sure how that works. Interesting.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. Castellan is also one of the only ways to get forward back and shoot for infantry in the army.
Yeah, for sure. The Castellan's actually unironically very strong. If you heard Nemo talk in any of his games, he talked at great length about how strong Castellan is. I think it's probably wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the reasons that he's in this list. He's one of the cheapest order issuers in the game and also gives sustained hits. He basically has 3 leadership abilities. He has orders a bunch of times, sustained hits, and fall back and shoot, which is pretty sick. For like a 50-point model, it's actually a ton of utility. Obviously, he himself doesn't contribute very much, but obviously that's neither here nor there. We've got a 10 man of Acadian shock troops for the back line, a 20 man for the front line. So the whole deal here is that we can put all these guys together. The Acadian command squad gives them cover permanently while being affected by an order. You have 3 orders the unit can issue through a master box. And then the Castellan gives them that sustained hits plus fallback. So as long as you're not losing models, you can constantly be sort of re-engaging. And then the command squad unit has a meta pack, so you can regenerate models back into the unit. Yeah, the Castellan himself has 2 orders, but he dual attaches with a platoon commander, so you get 3 orders out of the unit. Obviously, you can only order the unit itself once, but you can issue 2 master box orders to other stuff, so like shock troopers or jungle fighters. Double chimeras, so we have delivery system for the Kazakh squads. I think we're going to be using those guys on. 2 Bullgryn, triple Kazakh squads to run up the middle of the table. No Toroxes, I think, in this list. It's only chimeras entirely. So it's much lighter on the ranged attacks as we typically see out of Astra Militarum. And I wonder if to some extent that's a little bit of a concession to the terrain variety, because the UKTC tends to have like open lines around the sides, right? So it's good for a limited amount of shooting, but then it's dominated by those big, huge buildings in the center. So you want units like the Bullgryn to be able to fight over those, the Bullgryn and the Kazakh squads. And then the rest of the army can just like sort of play skirmishing games and run in and out of the terrain features to fight with your opponent over objectives. So it's pretty cool. It's interesting to see Bullgryn back. The Bullgryn, I guess, could go in the chimeras, actually, right? Because they're only 2 transport capacity. And you have 12 in a chimera. Yeah. No, sorry, no. The Ogryn are 3, so you can't put the Ogryn inside. Sad. Yeah, you have to have the 3-mans of Ogryn to go into a chimera. That's what you see in the what is it? The armored spearhead or whatever, the mechanized infantry detachment, where you get +1 to wound disembarking transports. You take the 3-mans, a bunch of 3-mans and chimeras, and then they just hop out and they shoot 1 trillion shots on standard Ogryn, not the Bullgryn. So the Bullgryn are just ground pounding. Unfortunately, they're relatively slow, but if you're consistently, and it's probably reasonable to look at the terrain pack while we're sort of discussing this. You're basically like, you can guarantee that you have these terrain features, right? So your lines around like into this area in specific is extremely limited. Can you see that? It feels like my camera is really washed out here. It's super duper is. What the fuck? Do I have a filter on or something? No? Why does it look like that? You can't even see my mouse. It's wild. All right, anyway, I don't know. Right, like this area. Then you know that you're guaranteed to have a space where you can put those infantry, and they can stage and then reach the center in 1 turn. So you don't necessarily need transports for the slow guys. You also have like a little bit of a limited spot on the top left corner and bottom right, to get the expansion objectives. And then having scout infantry or scout vehicles and for the opposing expansion objective to keep them off balance makes total sense. So I imagine that the slight differences here we see are a little bit of a concession to the thing. Votan count as 2 slots on extra frames. Yeah. I'm glad they do that. Well, maybe it's also because they hook them on the sides, right? They just winch them in. They're in like it's like Day After Tomorrow, or what is it? Not Day After Tomorrow. That's the terrible disaster movie. Edge of Tomorrow, where they're all in the helicopter and they're just they're like exo frames are just like strapped to the ceiling basically, and they just drop out on a drop line. It's like that, but you're just tied to the like the storage baskets on the side. You just get winched down. That movie's so underrated. I know, incredible. One of my favorite depictions of power armor. I think like the most realistic depictions of exosuits, and they didn't have to do that hard too, which is crazy about it. It was like it almost felt like that could have been a movie by itself. It's like a movie where it's like we have one prototype, exosuit weapon system, and it's only you, Tom Cruise, who can use it, and then he like wins the day because he has the cool technology, right? It's kind of like what Spectral did. The entire gimmick of the movie was just like they had a cool prop. Guys, we built a cool gun. And we have several cool gun props. Can we use them? Yeah, okay, let's make a movie around it. But it was like an afterthought. It was like, we're doing sort of like semi-hard sci-fi. So let's make some semi-hard sci-fi weapons technology. I'll just pull up a picture here for the people in chat. So if people who have not seen the movie know what we're talking about. It's this... Oh, excuse me. It's this movie. They have cool power armor. They have an exoskeleton with little weapon mounts on it. And then the entire movie is just Groundhog Day, but with guns. But Tom Cruise like slowly learns to use the technology because he's like a conscript in the army, basically, as he goes through his Groundhog Day experience. But you could have just made him a regular guy, probably, and the movie would have worked. But it wouldn't have had that same level of appeal. So, I don't know. What a cool fucking movie that is. Definitely an inspiration for the Votan exosuits, for sure, though. The Brokir Thunderkin. I'm a whore for this look, by the way. An absolute whore. Definitely don't dig into all of the Breachstorm designs for all the weapons technology in that and see a lot of similarities. All right. Shall we move on? They used real suits and no CGI. Yeah, I know. They were like 120 pounds, right? And they're like all the actors had a condition to wear them and stuff. Like it's sick. It's so cool. It's so cool. Let's talk about some Black Templars chat. I saw some people bemoaning the competitiveness of Black Templars, which always surprised me.
Ryan G donated $10 through Super Chat. BTW, I want to give a shout out to the Hearthkin Warriors with a Grimner. That unit is obscenely tanky for 165 points, especially with Ancestral Crest enhancement. Also means you can't cycle Cull. Yeah, I actually played against somebody running two of them the other day. And I was like, oh, this unit actually kind of rules. Especially because the Grimnir himself, I think... once he's in the Hearthkin Warrior unit, he's hitting on 2s, ruling 1s. He has 6 shots or multi-damage. He's kind of an underrated ranged attacker, and he actually he dramatically improves the output of that unit for sure. And then just makes him super tough to kill. Yeah, no, I actually really like that unit. I think Grimnir himself is definitely underrated, 100%. Thank you for the thing, by the way. The super chat, the thing. Exosuits in video games, you think of Stalker? Does Stalker have exoskeletons? Oh, they kind of do. Oh, that's zoomed in. Jesus Christ. This guy? That's all right. The thing, this look is like pretty, where you make the actual skeletal part of it flexible. That's pretty common because I think it's easier to animate for a video game, but it doesn't make as much sense as having a rigid exoskeleton. One thing I liked is is when, and 40K does this constantly, but when a franchise goes like, hey guys, our soldiers are so powerful because they have exoskeletons, and then they just give them like a regular, I don't know, like regular BDUs, and they're like, yeah, it's underneath or whatever, it's integrated. You're like, okay, man. Halo does that constantly, which like always pisses me off. Like, ODSTs are supposed to have exoskeletons, lore-wise, but they just wear regular fatigues. All right, man. You could have modeled it, at least, but you didn't think about it until, like, Halo 4, and then at that point it was too late. The design was established. Anyway, I think too much about combat exoskeletons, chat, because it's one of my favorite tropes. Not just power armor, combat exoskeletons. I think it's cool as fuck. So yeah. Apparently the guy who designed suits for the film Underwater is doing the 40k suits. Underwater. Is that the one where they summon Cthulhu? Spoiler alert. Fuck. Yes. Sorry if I've spoiled the movie for anyone. I also have never seen it. It looks really cool, though. I think I would love it, but I just haven't had the time. And then I always have to look up where to see things, and then it's a whole thing, and I don't watch it. All right. Let's talk about Black Templars. Yeah, so Black Templars actually had a fairly good showing this weekend at the Coventry. They had a X01 Craig Bedford over here. X11. So 1 draw, 1 loss. They also, I think, were top X1 at the 2-day event, so we can talk about both those lists, although I imagine they're going to be similar. The downside, obviously, is that they are very they're pretty samey, right? This one's Gladius Task Force, Double Castellan, Chaplain Grimaldi, the big man himself, Emperor Champion, Judiciary, Combi Lieutenant, Double Marshal, literally no enhancements whatsoever. It's interesting that there is this trend, especially for a lot of these like melee rush factions, where you just cut enhancements entirely. You're just like, we don't need them. Emperor's Children's doing this as well, where like the Coterie of the Conceited has like maybe one of the best selections of enhancements in 40k. You have a respawn, you have auto 6s every turn. You have do mortal wounds to people. Like the enhancements are crazy, but you just don't have the points. Like you could get a whole nother unit if you cut all your enhancements. So you're like, fuck it, we're just not going to do it, which is unfortunate. I kind of wish we all had Lions of the Emperor enhancements where they're all like 5 points for some reason, and you're just like, who cares? Just run cool characters. That's neither here nor there though. So Double Marshal, Double Castellan, Grimaldus, Emperor's Champion, Judiciary. Combi Lieutenant. We have Intercessor Squad ×3. It's 2 5-man assaults and a 10-man assault. Oftentimes that's for Chaplain Grimaldi to go into. 2 5-man assaults. It's probably a place for the Emperor's Champion. Could be a Judiciary spot to hang out with too, because that gives you a pretty solid. Or he goes into the 10. Either one, because that gives you a solid heroic intervention threat, especially too if you're a big unit, you can spread a little farther. So as you're in the scrum, your chance to trigger a heroic intervention is much greater if you're a 10-man. I'm not 100% sure though. Oftentimes you just use Grimaldi to push the threat range of these guys, and then they can combat slingshot different ways. But almost certainly one of them is going to be for the Emperor's Champion for rerolls on his devastating turn. We have an Intercessor Squad to obsec your backline, Double Impulsor to deliver all those little tiny 5-mans. I guess the other benefit too is that if you have a 5-man with the Judiciary and the Impulsor and your opponent shoots it to death, if they charge, you fight first, regardless of your battle shocked or not, so you just get to swing. John Lennon said, screw it, he's back to running 3 Demon Princes and Emperor's Children. Yeah, that's the biggest example, right? And I think, like, that's what, Liam VSL, we talked about him this morning in the Monday video. He did the same thing. He just cut every piece of fluff out of his Emperor's Children army, and it's all action. It's just 100% like character bricks. Basically, cut it all to fit a flawless blades unit for the late game. But I think that's how it has to be. It sucks because like those enhancements are so strong, but I don't know. Like they feel so good to play, but when you're considering that you lose like an entire Tormentor squad in order to get it, it's like, ugh, that's tough. Mauler Fiends aren't reliable enough. Yeah, I actually was surprised when Mauler Fiends saw so much play. I think that people overestimated their like Hallowed Martyrs, like Grim Determination effect. Because they're like, oh, I'll take damage going in. It's fine. So I'll be, I'll have all the bonuses. it will be totally fine. I'll hit on 2s. I'll reroll 1s. I'll wound on 2s or 3s. I'll reroll 1s. I'll be very consistent. And then, it'll be okay. And then the fact that I have like low AP random damage will be mitigated by the fact that I have like lethal sustain potentially once I commit in. And then your opponent's like, well, what if I don't shoot it? And you're like, wait, hold up. Shoot it. Wait, I'm supposed to be hitting on 2s here. What are you talking about? I'm not hitting on 2s and winning on 2s. And you're like, yeah, I just didn't tech it until I killed it. I don't know. I saw there was so much. It was so interesting because I saw so many people so high in the Mauler Fiend as soon as Demon Princess got nerfed. And I was like, is that the case? And the number of Mauler Fiends I saw charge things and do literally nothing and then die, I was like, okay, I don't know. It seemed a little interesting. Emperor's Children needs Flawless Blades for more variety. Yeah, I wish there was like a little points cut for Emperor's Children stuff, but I don't know. They just want a GT. They're doing okay. It's just some matchups feel really bad for them, it is what it is. Moving back to this list, we got double Repulsor Executioner and then triple Sword Brethren squad, so we can deliver them with the Executioners. We actually have 4 or 5 mans and 4 transports, so one has to ground pound until we cycle into one of the transports, most likely. And then we have a ground pounding 10-man unit. Might even strategic reserve the 10-man because they can actually close the distance pretty quickly with Grivaldus because he can give +1 to advance and charge. And then you can flip into Assault Doctrine. So you ingress them off a table edge, like behind a wall. If there are sideboard terrain. Although this is UKTC. I actually don't know how many side ruin like terrain features there are. Not a lot. Ew. Okay, you're probably not doing that. There are some like layout 1, layout 7, I think, or 8 in chapter approved. There's great ruins that are adjacent to the table edge or flush with the table edge, so you can ingress behind them with strat reservers and then run past the ruin. But it doesn't look like there's any of those here. So your melee flank rapid ingress is actually really bad because your opponent a lot of times can either control that space or you force you to deploy so far back that you're not in the fight at all. I actually don't super love that. I think that in my opinion, it's a little bit more interesting when there's like interesting side terrain, but it is a kind of a a constant criticism of UKTC that's too easy to see along the sides.
Ren's Gravity donated $5
Gravity,
through
thank you for
Super
follow.
Chat. I want flawless blades to gain first strike natively, but go up in points. Gives them an anti-melee roll for internal balance. Might be a hot take.
First strike natively. I think that while first strike does feel like incredibly thematic of an ability for Emperor's Children to have, right? I think that they're trying to limit the amount that they have just so that you don't get to situations where your army commits and then can restrict melee armies on the counterattack. I think Flawless Blade's position as like the armor cracker melee unit is fine, especially now that they have more attacks. When they were really low attack volume and mid damage, it was like, what the fuck are we doing here? But now that they're 4 attacks and they're like really consistent attacks, it does feel much better. So I think it's okay, the place where they're sitting at right now. I think Flawless Blades are probably fine. If anything, they might be a little overcosted, or you pump them up 5 points and you let them fucking go into Rhinos. That unit would be much better if you could go into Rhinos and actually use it aggressively, but it is what it is. It'd be funny if they add Sonic Dreadnoughts or just 3 Blastmasters in a trench coat. Guaranteed windmill slam, for sure. Although, like, there's differences, right? Like, if you have 3 Sonic Blaster or 3 Blastmaster profiles, but you're on a slow Dreadnought chassis that's like move 8 and can't go through walls and only 18-inch range, they're good off the table edge, but I don't know if you take too many of them because the Rhino embarked Blastmasters are extremely fast and much easier to get on target. So I don't know. It would probably be it would be an interesting discussion. I definitely think that they need a gun, though. It is a travesty that all their attacks are. They have no way to play outside of just committing units into the fight, basically. I want to stick on Black Templars momentarily here because I want to talk about Black Templars from the 2-day. We've got Steven Titmus over here with another Black Templars list. This one had Helbrecht in it. It was Gladius Task Force still, but he was running some enhancements. A Marshal with Artificer Armor, not the Combat Lieutenant or the Emperor's Champion. Emperor's Champion had Honor Vehement instead for bonus attacks. And puts him to Strength 9 as well, which is a big deal. Or Strength 10 even, against sort of medium vehicles, which is huge. Triple Castellan, Triple Marshal, plus High Marshal Helbrecht. 2 Assault Intercessor squads, 2 JPI squad, or 3 JPI squads. Fuck. Okay. Hot damn. The interesting thing about these guys is that I found that they're very inconsistent in this detachment because you only get the one, or you don't get the Oath moment, so you only get the +1 to wounds sometimes into T4 utility enemies, but they're actually just way worse into basically every other target in the game. So the use case where you oftentimes like send them into 10 guardsmen and then they sweep the guardsmen and they take the objective. If you can't just oath the guardsmen to ensure that happens, sometimes you just miss a bunch of times and your guys don't kill your opponent. And then it feels really bad. So yeah, I don't know. We've got triple Sword Brethren squad, Repulsor Executioner, only 1 +2 Impulsor. Wow, this is all melee all the time. Straight up just rush. I love it. I love it. So it's 3 Castle and Marshal combos, and 3 Sword Brethren squads. They're all going to go into transports because we have the Executioner Impulsor. We have Helbrecht, who's going into an Intercessor squad. Is that what I'm looking at here? He can do that, right? I assume he can. Yeah, Assault Intercessors. Okay. He gives +1 attack and strength, so they swing 1,000,000 times. 5 attacks each. They swing 20 times. 19 with a Power Fist. Fascinating. Unless he's going into a Sword Brethren squad. And we're doing Castle and Marshal combo on an Intercessor unit? Maybe. Can we do that? I've never seen that before. I have to imagine that it's Helbrecht in the Assault Intercessors, just to give him rerolls. Because he himself hits hard enough that you don't really need the rest of the unit. You could attach the Castle and Marshal into an Assault Intercessor squad. So there's 2 Assault Intercessor squads. So I imagine what we see is Castle and Marshals in all the Sword Brethren, right? Sure, I'll just 2 damage power weapons. Helbrecht in the Assault Intercessors for rerolls, and then we have a floating one for the other Emperor's Champion, for the Emperor's Champion to go into the other one. So it's 5 5-mans, all of whom can kill a tank, basically. This list rules. This is the most Black Templars list I've ever seen. It's just 3 transports, like staging 5-man units up the board. You're just running. Go! It's like a jump master, like for paratroopers or whatever. He's just like sending them out the door. Go! And then just hopping out of the transport into the teeth of the enemy. That's fun. Yeah, no, it's a ton. It's a ton of units. That's crazy. But Helbrecht himself, the more I think about it, the more I kind of like the combination of him with the Assault Intercessors. He's base 6 attacks at 833. So basically he's another Emperor's Champion, right? It's exactly the same profile. He also has a sweet profile as well. And then his leadership is +1 attack and strength. So he goes to 7 at 933 and then gets full wound rerolls targeting enemies on objectives or reroll ones. So he becomes like hyper efficient. And then obviously you have like Honor the Chapter available and stuff. So you can give him +1 to wound. I kind of love that. That's sick. That's super cool. Also fat base. Is he too big to disembark a transport? He's not, right? He's a 80 mil? I want to say. Is that right? Or is he a 60? Oh, he's a 60 mil. So he's like 2.2 inches or whatever. Good stuff. That's a fun list, chat. That list is cool. If you like melee characters, that's the one to play for sure. I think with that, we can probably hop over to the 2-day to talk about some of the interesting lists in the top here. There's a bunch of Space Wolves in here. Brian Siju's doing some stuff with Chaos Demons, so we'll dive into that stuff for sure. So we'll start with Alexander England here. So these are X1s, by the way, after 5 rounds. Within a Gladius Task Force Space Rolls, which I feel like we haven't seen in a really long time, which is interesting. It's running Ragnar Blackbane with the Bloodclaw squad. So they get advance and charge permanently, and they also get wound rerolls because of him. So that's a unit we can advance and charge regardless of the current doctrine. So even if you're in Assault Doctor, you're in Tactical Doctrine, Devastator, they can still advance and charge because of Ragnar's leadership ability, or because of the datasheet ability. Standard Intercessor Squad for the back line. I have a list that I'm going to play this week. I'm playing it on Thursday. But it has 2 Intercessor Squads in it purely to kill utility units. And I kind of feel like Intercessor Squads are maybe underplayed. Because 80 points for an OC2 OBSEC unit that has 20 ranged attacks is kind of nuts. Like, when you just think about it on its head, you're like, wait a minute. I wouldn't, like, there's a list you can build with like 60 of them. I don't think I would do that. But, like, playing 2 to 3 Intercessor Squads is probably better than people give it credit for. In the metagame where you're expecting to fight, like, Eldar and stuff, this unit's a nightmare. Because they will just extremely reliably kill 5 Aspect Warriors every time. Or, you know, you can Oath and kill 10 Guardsmen. You can add any buff to them. They do work. I used to play 5 with Marneus Kelgar, so I didn't have to pay for company heroes. And those guys plus Marneus Kelgar, you put Storm of Fire on them if you didn't have any other targets for it. They would kill like the universe, because you could then advance and shoot your grenade launcher too. So you're shooting 2 or 4 twin-linked 2 damage shots, 21 damage shots, and then a D3 damage shot. All of it went to AP2 ignore cover. It was kind of nuts. This unit's, I think, underrated. They're obviously good as a backline objective holder, but I think there's use for them as utility stuff too. Probably as well. Fenrisian Wolves, double Predator Destructor Scout Squad for utility in the early game. Double Thunderwolf Cavalry. 1 Vindicator. Wolfguard Terminators X10 plus Wolfen. So we're running Arjac plus Logan plus Bjorn. Logan usually runs solo in these lists, and then Arjac typically attaches to the Wolfguard Terminators just to give them fight on death. Because Logan doesn't really have a leadership ability. It's kind of weird. He's just doing his own thing. But he lets them turn 1 Deep Strike. This is just really weird. It feels so light, but I guess it's just it's 1 big bulwark and then a million tiny utility units. Like, I guess it has a 10-man Bloodclaw, right? There's no, like, delivery for any of it. It's just all ground pounds. But it's all relatively fast anyway. And then it has a bunch of skirmishing units, so you can kind of, like, open the fight with all these Thunderwolf Cavalry that just advance and charge and run around the corners and try to kill the opponent. Like, they try to disrupt scoring on objectives and force your opponent forward so you can counterattack with things like Bloodclaws. That's interesting. The Terminator unit could kill the world. They actually don't do that much damage, which is funny. The Wolfguard Terminators are great because they last forever. They're basically like an Arjac Rockfist delivery system. Don't think about it as 10 Terminators being led by Arjac Rockfist. Think about it as an additional 40 ablative wounds and -1 to be wounded for Arjac Rockfist. The Terminators themselves are fine. Like, they have the devastating Great Axe is like good for 3 damage or something every time. And then, like, the melee attacks are good. They're strength 5, AP2, 2 damage. Like, they're you know, they're Blade Guard veterans with downside, I guess. But the big thing is that as soon as you attach a character in, they get the -1 to wound thing. Don't think you need a character. I think there's -1 to wound. It doesn't matter. You got Arjac in there. Arjac's hitting like a fucking truck because he's anti-everything 3-up. Anti-monster vehicle character or whatever, right? Or it's anti-monster vehicle and then full rerolls against characters. So he's basically anti, like, everything that's not a basic infantry squad. And he's good for like 9 damage per turn. And then the rest of the unit can just vibe and take hits for him. This unit actually rules. I dislike playing against it simply because it takes so long to kill.
I ended up just like Ed fights that unit until fucking Judgment Day. It's crazy. With on to the chapter. It's fine. You wound high toughness vehicles on 5s, so it's like you're swinging 40 attacks, assuming their oath, like the full combo's active. Their oath, so you should hit what? Not including the Great Axe, obviously, because it's a different profile. But like, if it's 40 attacks, you'll miss 13. Reroll, miss like 5, I guess. So you'll hand 35 wounds, which is like 11 saves. A lot of things are saving on like 4s. So you hand them like, I don't know. I guess it's like 12-ish from the swords, if they're +1 to wound. And then Arjank kills whatever it is you hit. But that's literally every single every single buff active at the same time. You don't kill like a knight though, you know. You don't like trade evenly into a lot of stuff. You'll kill stuff like 16 wound stuff for sure. Ed versus these a 5-turn fight. Dude, I've played it out like so many times. It's crazy. It happens every time because Ed just screens the board and he forces them to come into him because nothing else can damage him in that matchup typically. And then they just sit there for a while. Arjek like clips him for 3 or 4 damage. The rest of the unit hits him for like 2. He kills 2 Terminators, and then we rinse and repeat for the rest of the game. All right. Let's talk about, speaking of demons, we're on demon time, so let's talk about demons. Byron Siju, excuse me, running Demonic Incursion to X and 1. It's a normal Demonic Incursion list. I don't think there's that much interesting to talk about. Bellicor, Great Unclaim with Endless Gift. Lord Change Never Stay, Brodigus Scarbrand, and it cuts the Bloodthirster. I cut the Bloodthirster from my list when I was playing. And then I was immediately like, I haven't played double Plague Bearers yet, which I think is that's the secret sauce. Because Plague Bearers are kind of an insane data sheet when you think about it. Your T5, 20 wounds, the 5+ invuln save, and obsec. And +1 to charge. +1 to leadership checks. You're crazy. They have so many bonuses. The Icon and Instrument of Chaos are like wild Wargear, like free Wargear options. They're insane. And then given the ability that they can just sort of 6-inch deep strike off the Great Unclean ones and just steal objectives and then obsec them is kind of wild. They also go to 2 damage with lethal hits from Rodigus if he points his buff at something. So they actually can like chip away into like Space Marine bodies and stuff. Double Fiends plus Screamers for utility. The Fiends are a little interesting because they're very dicey. They feel extremely dicey to me. They have a lot of wounds, but like low toughness, low save, and so they just eat the damage really quickly. So I don't know. But I found I missed my I lost as soon as you go down to 5 greater demons from 6, you lose the critical mass. Where like I was always complaining that my Bloodthirster would die immediately. But the key was the Bloodthirster would die immediately, but he's like a blade of armor, basically. So playing 6 basically cuts like this and these for another greater demon. And then you throw him into something stupid. He gets you value, and your opponent has to spend the turn killing him. Otherwise, he continues to get value. In which case, you can like overextend Scarbrand and Rodigus, and your opponent doesn't have enough attacks to kill all of them. They might kill 2, and whatever's left kills their army. It was I felt that I lost that like capacity to push. I didn't have like a go turn as much. And I was like, I don't like this as much. I don't like playing a long game. I want to play a game that lasts 70 minutes, then we go home. Could I imagine if Death Guard get Plague Bears in 11th? Though they have Plague Bears. There's literally a Plague Bear data sheet in their codex. I played against Taliban Summoners yesterday, by the way, chat, or Saturday. It was actually sick. I was very impressed. My opponent had some... We both, I don't think, played a perfect game of 40k. We both made some like really stupid mistakes that punished both of us. And then his dice were atrocious, unfortunately, which like kind of swung the game. I think it would have been a really interesting and cool game if his dice had not been so cold. He had a turn where he failed 3 4-inch charges, or 5-inch charges, I think, between 4 and 5s, and he failed 3 of them. And I was like, all right, man, I don't know. So his whole all his utility stuff just instead of engaging my army and stopping me from doing actions and things, just stood there for a turn. And got shot. It was unfortunate. All right, chat. There's a little bit of Grey Knights at X1 as well. Jordan Penning here, rocking Brotherhood Strike.
So this is when you deep strike, you reroll hits and wounds of 1. This just blew my mind. Just forgot this detachment existed. Nemesis or Grand... Oh, no. Librarian has +1 to Gate of Infinity total. So you can Gate of Infinity an additional unit while he's on the board. Or in reserve, actually. So as long as he just exists. Double Strike Squad, Interceptor Squad, Paladin Squad, 10 Purifiers with Dude Guy. Who gets hit rerolls of 1 from the detachment ability, which is actually very valuable. Because they don't have hit rerolls baked in outside Warpaint Task Force. They just have wound rerolls. And we're running Psy Cannons. We can also give them Sustained 1. Neat. It's weird there's no, like, I don't know. I want to ignore cover on those guys or something. But I think the Psy Cannons are, after watching David Ozawa play the Psy Cannons, we had a discussion about it, and I was like, I think I get Psy Cannons on Purifiers, because they just can shoot at 24 inches instead of having to commit to shoot things, which is great. And then getting reroll hit rolls is nice in this detachment as well. Paladin Squad, Interceptor Squad, Triple Nemesis Red Knight. So it's a lot of access to really... It's easy access to rerolls. Reroll ones basically everywhere. And you can put up to like 5 things in reserve. Because you get 3 base, 1 for the relic, and then there's a strat to put your units in deep strike, end of the fight phase. That's fascinating. Oh, there's 2 strats even. So you can put 6 units in reserve every turn. If you spend 3, which you're not going to do. And one of them requires that your opponent falls back from you. Yeah, that's fascinating. Not a detachment I would have expected to see do well. Because it sort of just feels like slightly worse Warpaint Task Force, but I don't know, chat. Maybe I'm...
Johnny Mars donated $2 through Super Chat. Check chat for my drop pod comment. Spy.
Johnny Mars, thank you for the Super Chat. Appreciate you, bud. Ask GW about how drop pods would be worded at Worlds, and it's hilarious. Pedals count for terrain clipping. They don't count for 9 inches and can overhit the board edge when they land. Wait, only terrain? Can they be set up on models? I assume not. So I guess they're just counted as like parts of the miniature that extend over the base then, right? You know, so like you it's like a non-measurement surface part of your model. So it's like when your wing sticks out over your base or whatever. I got my it's example Magnus. Here we go. So like his wing sticks out over his base. You know, it's like that. That's like the pedal, I guess, is what the deal is. Models can stand on pedals, but the pedals can't be put on the... Oh, can they? Can the pedals be put on models? Do you like least disturbance models away when you put the wings down? That's convoluted. Maybe we I don't know. Maybe we just count the whole thing as a base. Maybe we don't put a huge fucking scenic thing on your miniature. On a miniature that's meant to set up on the battlefield. It's going to be strange. You can't drop on opponent's stuff. Well, yeah, you have to be 9 inches away, right? But you can put the pedals down and then move your own stuff. So the pedals basically don't exist, except for terrain. It's bizarre. You are right. That is a weird ruling. Because, like, you're almost like, why don't we just not include them, right? Like, you're at the point where you're like, they're just going to make the game harder to play. We could take them off. But if it restricts your positioning when it comes to miniatures or to terrain features, then you have to keep them. And you have to just keep the game being difficult to play. I guess what you could just do is, like, Basically, just say, hey, I must deploy 4 inches away from buildings or whatever, because that's where theoretically where my pedals should be. There's some Chaos Space Marines I want to talk about here quick chat. Yeah, it is funny. I think, I don't know how you fix that without, like, because it feels like a situation where maybe it should just count as your base. It's not, I guess it's not that big. And look at the miniature again. It's not that big, right? It's like, it is big, but it's like 3 inches, right? In every direction. We should probably just count this as your base and then have a rule that says that your miniatures, like, you can disembark, like, touching the base, basically. Right? And then, like, they actually have a use, because then they measure your disembarkation distance. It'd be cool, actually. Maybe 11th edition, maybe 11th edition will bring vehicle bases, and we'll have actual mechanics for this. The pedals fit exactly on top of an objective marker. Oh, really? So it's exactly 3.5 inches across. That's funny. Not that it makes a difference if they don't count for measurement. So I don't know. It is weird that they're so like that they're like modeled like that. It's just a strange model because it's such a downgrade from the optional closed pedals, right? And I don't really understand why they would decide to make it this way. Like the model with the pedals, like optional open or close was, well, I guess like you just don't count you make a rule. If you have the old miniature where you're late, you can set the doors down, the ramps down. You just have a rule that says you don't count them for measurement purposes. And then, you know, you can put them down when it's cool and thematic. And then when in a situation where they would intersect terrain, you just put them up. And I feel like that's the way they should have done it. It's weird that they re-released the whole miniature with this like big, annoying, like huge footprint underneath it. That's like 6 times the size of the model itself. Are you required to open the pedals while disembarking? Well, yeah. There's no way to close them. It's not that you're required to open them. It's not the only legal like assembly is to have them be open, right? Because there's no closed version of the drop pod anymore for the official miniature. If you're using the old miniature, like I don't know, ask your TO probably, because it's going to be an interesting question. Because the old miniature is dramatically different than the new one. And it's a hull measuring model, so it's very, very important. But, like... yeah, I don't know. Like, this is just how it's assembled, so there's no options for it. Funny with Hell Blasters, because you pop out, you can shoot in the opponent's fight phase, because...
Balls donated $9.99 through Super
Balls,
Chat.
thank you for the Super Chat.
Emperor's Children coterie of the conceited is a great detachment in rules and law.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think that the theme of that detachment is absolutely on point. 100% on point. It's crazy. It's one of the most well-designed detachments in the game, in my opinion. It's interesting how it constructs. If you play any other Emperor's Children army, it plays so differently than Coterie of the Conceited, because Coterie of the Conceited has this whole tempo mini game you have to play that's like wildly thematic. If that's the kind of game design we can expect from 11th edition 40k, it's going to be the best edition of 40k ever made. I feel like it might be a little bit of a flash in the pan, but we'll see. But there's like some other stuff like that that's I don't know, similarly interesting. Like it adds those little mini games to the game, which I think is really cool. That is I don't know. They're few and far between, but there are other similarly well-designed stuff in the game for sure. If you built the drop pod, you deserve to be able to use it because the building thing is so annoying. Yeah, for sure. Especially like the old drop pod looks so good too because all of the interior details, like the little little harnesses are all modeled and stuff. They're separate pieces you have to put together, and it's a fucking nightmare. I put together several drop pods in my day, and it sucks every time. And then they're like kind of annoying to paint too, because they have all these little greeblies everywhere. And if you paint it assembled, which I always do, you have to like get into the crevices to paint the inside. It actually sucks. So yeah, I don't know. It's for a 70 point like random thing. It's actually like the shittiest thing to put together. Oh boy. Scintillating Legion? Yeah. I just wish Scintillating Legion, I don't know, did a different thing. I think Scintillating Legion has a bit of a mechanical issue in that the effect it gives you is not that strong.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. Does Trevi actually mean Assimilation Swarm? Trevi loves that detachment. He wakes up every day thinking of it. I bet he's so sad it basically died.
Ryan, fuck you, Ryan. Thank you for the super chat. But also, I had been blissfully ignorant of Assimilation Swarm until just now. I forgot it existed until you've just reminded me. God damn it, they made a detachment where your underpowered tier to data sheets have to live for an entire battle round in order to fucking do anything? Trash. Absolute goddamn trash. That's so funny. Because I was thinking about Tyranids the other day and how much I want to play Harry Dan again. Who I have to get back out of his fucking box. He's been in the box for like a year. He has to stretch his wings. We have to get a case for him or something. I was thinking, this is a total tangent here, but now I'm doing the standing thing, which I really like. I like streaming while I'm up in the air, which I think is cool. But I need something to go here. This is fucking horrible. And unfortunately, it's just a big eave. It all just angles down. So I can't really fit anything in here besides my work desk, my like hobby desk, which is a mess right now because that's my old machine. I ripped the guts out of it to build my refurbished one. And I have some sad news as well. Now that people are in the chat, my stream this weekend got canceled. So I was planning last week on getting a bunch of new shit from the GoFundMe and setting up a brand new setup for a team live stream. And then they canceled my stream. So I'm just vibing now. But that means that I can build my new machine this weekend, I think. So I'll build my new streaming rig. But that means that this desk is going to be all fucking computer parts for the next 2 weeks or so. That's going to be a whole thing. I have blackout curtains. I have blackout curtains in the window. You can't see them. But, like, I don't think I want blackout curtains here. This is just a wall. That's like the cutout for, I don't know what they call it, where there's like a window at the end of an elevated section. Like a little walk space or whatever. But I could put something like here in the middle, maybe a case or something. So it would just be on the floor. And then it would come up to here. That would be kind of neat, maybe. It would kind of block off some of the area, but then I could store stuff in the corner. I don't know. Painting could go there. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like it's a triangular space. So if I put a painting, it would either be small or it would overhang here. I think I like the idea of putting a cool case or something, a miniature case in there. A life-size Space Marine. I unironically thought about that. I was like, should I get one of those Primaris Intercessor standees that is in every game store and fucking put it here? I might. That's the other option. Is I legit might do that for sure. Get a cat hammock for Inky. This window has the AC unit in it, so I can't put the cat. My cat tower is on the other side. There's a window on the other side you can't see, and that overlooks the street. This overlooks like a back alley where nothing happens. That overlooks the street, so the cats hang out there all the time. I wouldn't put a cat tower over here because I don't think they would use it because there's just a fucking AC unit in the way. Yeah, maybe a case, maybe a nice big case. I'm working on a lot of improvements for the space. I think for sure. Now that we have more to work with. Anyway, chat. Primaris Marines look cool. I agree. Or were they canceled on me? Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, I'll be up in Maine. Yeah, it's gonna be sick, dude. I'm so excited. I have a lot of people excited for that event as well. We're gonna do some work with Frontline Gaming for that one too, because they've got some Black Friday things going on. So it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I'm psyched to go up there and hang out with the other people over at the Standoff. Shout out to the Standoff. A unpaid plug for that event over in Portland, Maine. I had a phenomenal time last year at that event. It was like super chill. It's not a store; it's a convention. It's a GT. It's in Portland. It's gonna be my videos last week were sponsored by it, so the link should be there. I don't have the link right in front of me right now, but if you look it up, it's in Portland on the second to last weekend of November. It's the 22nd, 23rd. Then you should be able to find it. It has there's a 40K event. There's MCP. I think there's Age of Sigmar, right, David? So if you have any of those going on, then it'll be good. Yeah. You live in Portland, bro? Bro, check it out. Yeah, there's a GT happening in your city, dude. Come play, dude. Absolutely. It's run by Crossroads, if you're familiar with them. They're a little bit farther north, I think, like located, but they put on the event every year. But it's in a hotel. It's in a convention space. It's gonna be several ballrooms for the games. It's gonna be sweet. At the very least, come down and look, because it's gonna be sweet. 40K, MCP, AOS, and Kill Team. Hell yeah, dude. That's much bigger than last year, because I think it was just 40K and MCP last year, right? It's growing leaps and bounds. Also, David in chat, the TO for the event. He custom makes a bunch of the terrain. If you watch my stream from last year, the terrain's sick. It's all laser cut MDF that's like custom built. It's fucking gorgeous. I have my stream from last year on the VOD channel, or on the live tab. If you go down to the channel, you can watch that. We watched a Warhound Titan last year, which was sweet. 100% going. Fuck yeah, dude. Shisan, I'm glad to hear about that, man. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good time. All right, Chance. I think we can talk about some Chaos Space Marines if we want to. If you were better at 40K, you would go. Bro, how would you become better at 40K if you don't go? That's the big question. The best way to get better at 40K is to play a bunch of games at 40K. And the easiest way to do that is to go to a GT, because then they make you play a bunch of games at 40K. You are all but contractually obligated. You are monetarily incentivized to play 5 games at 40K. Heard that the terrain at Worlds is going to be perfectly mirrored. Oh, it's not going to be perfectly mirrored, so picking Defender may actually matter. Whoa. They're not going to change the layouts, right? Just the templates? I mean, if they use the GW terrain, it's never perfectly mirrored because the terrain's like kind of bad. Like, real talk, the GW like official terrain sets, not the greatest thing in the world for the US Open ones. They're just their plastic terrain kits, like kind of slapped together, but they all overhang the fucking templates. They're too big. They're not cut down to size. They're like all different. They're assembled poorly. Some of them break. It's like, come on. I don't know. It's a whole thing. All right. Terrible still going for 5 games in a weekend. Hell yeah, Dan. That's the way to be. Cool. So let's talk about some Chaos Space Marines. I want to talk about Chaos Space Marines because I've been staring at this Chaos Space Marine list for the last like 10 minutes while we talk about drop pods and stuff. Boom. Chaos Space Marines. Richard Forrest, X1 at Coventry 2-Day with Pactbound Zealots. It's been so long since we have talked about Pactbound Zealots. Here's the question, chat. Is there a Hellbrute? And question 2, did he pay for the Hellbrute? He did. Let's go. Let's go. We get to talk about how it's a Hellbrute combo that actually does include a Hellbrute in it. Amazing. Richard Forrest, you're already a Chad. Maybe he had his Abaddon for free. I don't know. We're rocking Intoxicating Elixir, Lord Discordant, which is Feel No Pain, I believe, right? It's Slanesh only. 5+ feel no pain. You force enemies to take battle shock checks when you attack them. Neat. That's whatever. But 5+ feel no pain on a Lord Discordant with a bunch of wounds. Love to see it. We would call this mob for the back line. Double Predator Destructor. Nurgle Predator Destructors, 1 Tzeentch. So Tzeentch gives you... So for those who don't know, Pactbound Zealots, because it's been a million years since we've seen this attachment do well, which is crazy. It's so strong. When you see a Pactbound Zealot, like a Nurgle combo go off, it's so hard. It's crazy. Sometimes you see Abaddon here to give blanket rerolls, which triggers all the critical effects twice as often, but not in this case. So each time you make a Dark Pact, it improves your critical hit value based on the thing you choose for that Dark Pact, based on the benefit that you choose. Each model or each unit gets a mark, and the mark determines which attribute gets improved or based on the benefit you choose for your Dark Pact. So Dark Pact is when you attack, you can take a leadership test. If you do, you get either lethal hits or sustained hits. If you lethal hit in melee and your Khorne, you get critical 5s. If you sustain hits in melee and your Slanesh, you get critical 5s. If you lethal hit in shooting, you get and your Tzeentch, you get critical 5s. If you sustain hits and your Nurgle, you get critical 5s. And then you can be undivided where you just get hit rerolls sometimes. But in this case, what we want to do is set up all these guns. So we have all these big guns. Nurgle, Vindicator, Tzeentch, Destructor. So this one has sustained hits 1 when it Dark Packs. Also, it has Heavy Bolters, which is interesting, which already sustained. And then 2 more Predator Destructors. Or excuse me, this one has lethal hits. So the Heavy Bolters already sustaining makes sense. Because Tzeentch gets you lethals. It's a little bit weird. Nurgle is typically the lethal hit subfaction, but for Pactbound Zealots, he gives you sustained hits. I don't know why. Then we're going to stand next to this Hellbrute right here, who has an aura that says whenever you choose a Dark Pact, you get both benefits. So you get both lethal and sustained, regardless of what your mark is. So the Hellbrute stands next to all these vehicles. The vehicles Dark Pact and they shoot. They get sustained hits from Nurgle, lethal hits from the Hellbrute, and critical 5-ups because we choose whichever one the Chaos God marks. So the entire army, the old Fire Discipline combo that Space Marines used to have, where they were lethal 5-up critical, lethal sustained, literally the whole army does that if they hang out with this Hellbrute. They go crazy. And then if you get them hit rerolls in any way, they go absolutely farther insane, but it costs a bunch of points to do that. So sometimes you just leave that at home and take more vehicles. So we have that with 2 units of Obliterators, and the benefit there, obviously, is they can like deep strike in next to the Hellbrute, get all the buffs, and then indirect fire their guns to get those bonuses as well. We have a couple Possess squad with Chaos Undivided that gives you access to Profane Zeal, which is full wound rerolls in melee for undivided units. And then the Possess can use a once per game ability to get devastating wounds. So their AP kind of sucks, but they're full reroll devastating. So they're probably just fishing for mortal wounds, and they do some serious damage for a unit that's already kind of fast. It hits kind of hard. Getting a bunch of rerolls in mortals is great. We have a Beast of Nurgle and a million Nurglings. The 6-man's really good for the early game because you can jail your opponent to create space between the gun line and where they are. The other thing a lot of times you can do too is on early turns, you can shoot the guns along side angles and then run the Nurglings into a position where your opponent can come back to shoot back at you. So you can prevent your opponent from counterattacking. I'm being accosted. Inky doesn't want to come hang out. She's sad. And then Beast of Nurgle for early utility stuff. We love it, chat. This list is cool as fuck. Just a big gun line. Just a big, huge gun line. It's so interesting that like Chaos Space Marines, for the more recently, we've been seeing success out of Renegade Raiders, which is all like it's high damage on objectives, but a lot of times it's like fancier stuff. You're playing a little bit more speed and finesse oriented units, but they've always in the back pocket they've had this list that could just kill a knight because the whole list is 5-up critical lethal and sustained hit. So like you're firing this las cannon, there's a 33% chance that las cannon auto wounds and creates another las cannon, right? So like realistically, if you're shooting 6 las cannons at your opponent, you'll probably get lethal sustain on 2 of them realistically, which means you're basically shooting 8 las cannons now. It's pretty wild. Plus all these autocannons, which are relatively low strength characteristic, but shoot a bunch of times. Those are also getting lethals on 5s, plus sustained hits. So you're a pretty good chance that you're auto wounding with 2 of these, and then forcing another 4 wound rolls in your opponent. So you're probably handing them 3-4 wounds, even into T10 plus targets. It's the output from this army is wild. I have a game on stream where a comboed out Nurgle Chaos Vindicator one-shots a Tesseract Vault. Tesseract Vault wanders up, blows some utility stuff up, says, what are you going to do? And a Vindicator just immediately kills it. And it's like, not even that crazy of a roll, especially if you have rerolls from Abaddon and you're fishing. It's like, it's wild. It's just insane. I love it every time. You can reroll 1s to wound army-wide with the Discord Lord. Oh, that's true. Yeah, because against vehicles, right? Because he chooses a vehicle and you get wound rolls against it. Yeah. Select a visible vehicle unit, roll wound rolls of 1. Yeah, that's big too. That's cool, chats. Vastor plus Forge Fiend plus 5 up sustain. Abaddon is crazy. Are you gonna come up? Oh, yeah, you are. Oh. What's up, kitty? What's up? Yeah? You can't sit here and yell at me and then not want to get picked up, silly kitty. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Whoop. All right, chat. Pactbound Zealous is doing okay during the night meta. Yeah, for sure. It's excellent if you're into big targets. Like if you have huge stuff that your opponent is just going to force down your throat, this army will just kill it for sure. Kitty wants food. Yeah, I think so. I think she does. We just talked to our neighbor has cats, and because my housemate and I are both going away for the holidays, because I'm going to the Standoff, and then I'm going to go hang out with my family for that week. We needed somewhere for the cats to go, and the neighbor elected to take care of them. So we introduced them yesterday, and Inky was immediately affectionate, which is very adorable. She's a cutie pie. Anyway, chat. By the way, did you see my Halloween Inky in the background here? Look at her. Is she cute? What a cutie pie. She's wearing a little candy corn costume. That's what she's being for Halloween. That's all the lists I want to talk about. Do we have anything else we want to discuss before we hop off today? Big congrats to all the people who did well at the Coventry event. It's a huge amount of stuff to chew through. What we haven't talked about yet is the Paris Wargame Expo, which happened last week, which I didn't get to talk about because I was fixing my computer. I might go through. Actually, Bucket of Steel Cable, I bet, sent me his stuff. Yes, I have it. We'll talk about his event because he wanted me to. He forged at the Militarum. I did an RTT over the weekend as well, chat. We could do a walkthrough of my games too. They were actually really interesting because the dice were like really strange. Maybe I will tomorrow. I'll be live later this evening as well. So 16-player RTT. I don't know which one Bucket is, but I assume it's the top placing Adeptus Mechanicus. That seems like it would be pretty reasonable. A couple of notes. The Orc player in third place was issued a yellow card. All of 3 of his opponents came forward about cheating. Oh shit! We put this man on blast. Oh, you guys use WTC scoring. It's interesting. Well, he didn't put his detachment on his list, which is already a good sign. And then was playing Oh, it's so interesting. There was somebody playing at the event that I went to, playing almost this exact list. Although he was gluing his models together before the event started, so I don't think he was quite ready for it, which is funny. Well, that's unfortunate. That's sad to hear. If you want to send me more details, we could talk about it. I don't think I'm going to make content on it, but just for posterity. But we want to talk about Admech. David, thank you for the absolutely hacked super chat. Appreciate that, bud. Also, apparently got a copyright claim on one of my VOD videos. What the fuck? Weird. Computer just blew up, or my phone just blew up. Keaton Day with Skitari Hunter cohort. We love a good Skittle cohort. So Clandestine Infiltrator, Infiltrate plus Scout on a Skitari Marshal. Cantic Thrallnet on a Skitari Marshal, which is the choose a different Doctrina to people nearby, right? Been a while since we talked about Skitari Hunter cohort. I feel like it's been battle clayed for a million years, Morty. At the end of the battle round, start of the battle round, you can select a Skitari unit within 12. It gets both Protector and Conquer Imperative. Very nice. So a lot of times you can do that on Iron Strider Ballistari in the back line. Skitari Rangers ×2, Vanguard ×2. There's some Iron Strider Ballistari to hang out with. Onager Dunecrawler ×3. 1 Eradication Beamer, Anti-Heavy Infantry, 2 Phosphor Blasters, which is a good sort of all-arounder profile. Twin Linked Ignore Cover with an AP value is already good. So we're good into medium infantry. We're good into light vehicles. As long as you don't hit T12, I think, because they're Shrink 6. They're good into basically anything. And now that Knights are T11, these guys actually fuck up Knights. Because they're just like handing them like 6 AP1 Ignore Cover T damage saves. Like, here you go, buddy. That's for you. Pew! People complaining about how annoying the drop is build, but we're playing Skitari Hunter cohort. Talk about difficult to assemble models. Tyranxi Skystalkers for utility, Infiltrators ×2, Rust Stalkers ×2. Yeah, I definitely see that this is it's going to be kind of a standoffish list because it has sort of a predominance of shooting here. It's like a huge amount of shooting in the back line, and then you just hold these guys in the midboard. Are there Donan Riders? No, we're just vibing. We just hold these guys at the midboard because at any point you can just pay to advance and charge. So they can just blitz the center of the table. They don't really need any help to go super fast. So we're not we don't have enough infiltrators to really try to jail, but it is just it's gonna fight over the midboard objectives really well. One stream segment would be cool to see once a month pulling up T5 SU standings go over. Oh, that's a good call out. Yeah, we could do that. Probably when I do updates, when I do ranking updates. I had some issues with BCP. I think I got through them last week, but I couldn't update scores on BCP for like a little while for some reason. Yeah, we could do that for sure. Seems cool. I'm glad to see Onager Dunecrawlers getting some work done. The model's really cool. The downside is the base size, I think. I wish they were like 13 wounds and they played as like sort of a main battle tank. They feel a little squishy. They are 2+4+, which is nice defensive stats, but their wounds count is kind of low. When you compare to a lot of other like sort of mid rate to heavy vehicles, but like you see like 2 las cannons go through, there's a non-zero chance to just explode, which always feels bad. But they don't get the detachment abilities, right? Because you're not infantry, so they're just hanging out. Yeah, they're just vibing. Still a good gunshot, I guess. I saw an army at my RTT the other day that was a Dark Mechanicum army, and it was all Mechanica stuff. A bunch of its stuff was converted from like there was a unit of Sicarians that were Night Haunt with like the Sicarian weapons, so they were like ghost guys. There was another one that was like built out of another unit that I forget now. Well, I think it was like they were like Marines with like cybernetic bits to be Sicarians. And then Belisarius' Call was like a ghost kill battlesuit, but he'd cut it up and put cabling inside all the joints. So it was like this mess of cables that was like wearing a ghost kill battlesuit. It was really cool. I wish I got pictures of it, but he put his army away really quickly at the end of each game. He did really well, too. He almost won the event. Oh, the Marshal can buff them with Cantic. Oh, that's a good call. So you can give them Assault and +1 ballistic skill at the same time. Played Halo Scream for a game after the buffs, crit 5s, and the Onager goes crazy. Oh, with the Eradicator? Yeah. With the Eradication Beam for the extra sustains? Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, chat. That's all I have to talk about. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I am going to be live on Twitchies, as is tradition. I'll post a link to my Twitch in the chat here, because I keep forgetting to set up a robot for it. There you go. Here's my Twitch. I'll be live on Twitch in 3-4 hours, I think, is going to be the time frame. We're playing the final game of the GT for this round. I did have to concede my last round because I couldn't play the previous week. My computer shit the bed, and I had to rebuild it, and there was no way I was going to get the game in time. So we pushed it to this week, and then my opponent couldn't play this week. So we ended up both having to basically concede back and forth. But I didn't feel good about taking a win off that because I was the one who had to reschedule originally. So I'm giving my opponent the win for my previous round for the GT. But we're gonna play this round out, and the matchup is it is Skitarii actually. It's I think it's a Skitarii Hunter cohort. Versus Cast Demons. I'm playing 6 Rare Demons because I have no skill, and all I do is stat check people. So that's what's up. And we'll see how that goes. I think this matchup's really interesting. Every time I've ever played it, it's basically been a draw. So we'll see how it goes. I feel like we're going to score a lot of points. My opponent's going to attack me. I'm probably not going to die. I'm going to kill a bunch of him, but then he's going to get a bunch of points. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. So yeah, that's what's up. All right, gents. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. So I'll see you all tonight. Obviously, we'll be around for the regularly scheduled Tactical Tuesday. I think we'll talk about Paris Wargames Expo, because I really want to talk about that. Tomorrow, I'll redirect you over to that live stream just after this. And obviously, we'll be back for Warhamster Wednesday as well. So cheers, everyone. Have a good one. Keep it classy, folks. And I'll see you in the next one.